Hey, my handsome ladies and gentlemen, this is Shmeaty. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new. Did you get one? I'm of course talking about TAPU LELE. TAPU LELE recently returned to 5-star raids with its legacy move, Nature's Madness, and oftentimes people are opting for Psyshock, which has recently been buffed when running TAPU LELE in the Master League. However, I'm not going to be running Psyshock, and instead, I'll be running it with Nature's Madness and Focus Blast, hoping to catch some opponents off guard. And of course, we're going to be kicking things off with game number 1, Palkia into Kyogre. A lead couldn't get much better than this. We are going to see them switch into their Dialga and counter switch with our TAPU LELE. TAPU LELE looking to build up to that big Focus Blast. I don't think I would live in Iron Head from this range, so I am most certainly going to shield the Iron Head. And now we're going to overfarm as much as we dare. Click on the Focus Blast button. Focus Blast, they might be able to live on Nature's Madness, but they won't live that. Focus Blast KOs the Dialga, and now back in comes the Kyogre, only to be greeted by a Nature's Madness. They probably don't want a no-shield after seeing the Focus Blast, but they were on point with their counts. In comes a Charmarina and back. Not my favorite Pokemon ever, but it is what it is. We're going to fire off the Fusion Bolt, grab a shield from the Primarina. There's a Shundo Primarina, by the way. And now, I'm going to throw yet another Fusion Bolt at the Primarina, hoping to do as much damage as we can. We get both shields from the Primarina. I think it's time that we bring in TAPU LELE. TAPU LELE looking to just get some Astonish damage here. We're actually going to shield it up because we need this Astonish damage. Can we make a Nature's Madness? Unfortunately not. Kyogre gets brought in, but that is a massive lose con for our opponent. They're going to fire off energy here, even if it's a Thunder, which it is. We are going to be able to survive that no problem and go for the full farm down of the Palkia, reaching that Aqua Tail. Looks like they got denied on their bring in. Aqua Tail onto the Primarina. They live on 1 HP, but don't live the next 2 Dragon Breaths. GG's to this trainer. Get into the next match. It's a pretty interesting and spicy lead as we are going to lead Palkia Origin into Shadow Mewtwo. I try to catch the Psy Strike on 5. The opponent shows a lot more strength than that. And now counter switch my TAPU LELE safe switch with their Heatran. Not the best ever situation for me. I've definitely been in better spots than this. I'm going to no-shield this Magma Storm, confident that I can live. And now I build up to 100 energy and I am clicking on my button. Focus Blast, no respect from the Heatran. Down goes the Heatran. And TAPU LELE flip switch in a matchup it probably shouldn't have. Now they are going to bring in their own KB. KB gets a 2 Shadow Claw head start. I'm looking to reach for that Spatial Rend. Spatial Rend is going to not be able to be reached before they're able to throw a Fusion Bolt. That's only a Fusion Bolt though. I'm not shielding it. They're going to bring in their Mewtwo. Shadow Mewtwo does have all the energy in the observable universe here, so we are going to switch out into our own KB. And this is going to do about 22 trillion% to our KB, but that's okay. We're going to be able to get that Shadow Claw down. And now we are looking for the Free Shock to land onto their KB. And what is the response from this trainer? They are going to shield up the Free Shock. They do have another shield here. We need to make a last-second Fusion Bolt, and we're able to do so. That is absolutely massive. They are now forced to shield this move as they are quite low. In comes the Palkia Origin, able to make that Spatial Rend. GG's to this trainer. Getting into the next match, it's going to be Palkia Origin leading into Rhyperior. Probably the most common Pokemon in the Master League. We are going to be able to stay into this lead, however, as we match pace to that first move. I unfortunately overfarm way too much and play into a CMP tie. I didn't throw at a disciplined timing, and that is entirely my fault. Of course, Rhyperior is going to shield, as non-debuffed Aqua Tail would absolutely one-shot them there. They land the Breaking Swipe onto our Palkia, and we are going to catch the next one onto our TAPU LELE. Hopefully we don't get debuffed here. Let's see. No debuff from them. It's absolutely massive. TAPU LELE does win CMP over Rhyperior, so I could have potentially played into the CMP with the Nature's Madness here, but I am just going to opt to shield up the Rock Wrecker. Looking for the farm down of the Rhyperior. That's not enough. That is only ever going to be a Breaking Swipe, and TAPU LELE doesn't have to shield that. In comes their own TAPU LELE. I believe I might just be able to make the back-to-back, but I'm going to opt against it. Bring in our Solgaleo. Solgaleo, our GOAT. As always, they are going to be able to make a further move here, but I'm just going to no-shield here. The awkward part about being the Solgaleo in this situation is that if you no-shield a Nature's Madness, you can put yourself in a spot where they can astonish you down. And so too is the case with the Crozma Dust main, I believe. We're going to fire off a Psychic Fangs onto their Kyurem. They don't shield it, and now they have to bring back in the Tapu Lele. This is their last Pokemon remaining. We make that last second Psychic Fangs, and we are putting so much pressure onto their team with our Solgaleo. They just decide to no-shield the Psychic Fangs. GG's to this trainer. Got a little bit of deja vu in the next lead. It's going to be Rhyperior into our Palkia origin once again. I'm looking to play this out a little differently this time, not throw an alignment, and instead throw 14 Dragon Breaths, so I can now throw an Aqua Tail just before they're able to make a Rock Wrecker. Aqua Tail onto the Rhyperior is going to be shielded, of course. I don't think any Rhyperior in the observable history of Rhyperiors has ever decided to no-shield there. We look to try to get a Sneak and a Catch and an Astonish through there. No debuff is applied, which is nice. They bring in a Landorus, which is not a blastable Pokemon, unfortunately. So Tapu Lele is going to have to rely on the pink move this time around. We're going to fire off the Nature's Madness. And that Sandsear Storm may have very well put me in Mudshot downrange. I guess we're going to have to wait and see. They are going to have to throw again here. With how low this Tapu Lele is, them throwing here is actually pretty massive. I don't die to one more Mudshot, so I am going to shield up there, get the Astonish down, and now, did I leave with the move, or did I just make a terrible mistake? No, I did leave with the move, which is absolutely massive for us, as we're going to be able to make this Nature's Madness, and does do a sizable amount onto that Rhyperior. In the back, they've got a Palkia, and this is going to be a pretty awkward game, and the reason being is because Palkia double resist the fast move of Solgaleo. Solgaleo, of course, is opting for Fire Spin as its fast move of choice, and they are not adding up very much at all onto the opposing Palkia. They know that we're just going to go for the Psychic Fangs here, as we don't have anything else to hit them with. We're not a Necrozma Dust main with Outrage, unfortunately. That'd be really cool, but no such luck today. They just no-shield 2 Psychic Fangs, knowing they're never going to get Fire Spun down. They click the Aqua Tail, and now I think I have to shield here. I do shield up the Solgaleo, looking to bring in my Palkia for the snipe attempt here. I just don't think this is enough. I'm going to get the Aqua Tail off here, but there's just nothing that I can do at this point. They shield up the Rhyperior. I have to use my stored energy to KO the Rhyperior here, because one further Mud Slap will do it. And although Solgaleo is quite bulky, I'm getting Dragon Breath down there. GG's to this trainer. Getting into the next match, it's going to be Palkia leading into Landorus Therian. Now, Lando T is going to immediately switch out there into a KB, and this KB is on Dragon Tail. However, Dragon Tail KB, not a particularly big fan of the Tapu Lele counter switch. Tapu Lele very easily able to pressure shield from the KB, and KB is going to fire off a Fusion Bolt, but we are just going to shield that up, making sure we don't take big damage from a potential Freeze Shock, and now this can only be a Fusion Bolt, so we are going to let that move through. We overfarm as much as humanly possible and go for the next Nature's Madness here. Now pay attention, this is a game-losing mistake by our opponent. We come in with our Palkia and they concede switch advantage, the same switch advantage they just gave up both shields for. If you play for switch advantage, you have to keep switch. Although it's uncomfortable to get farmed down in some instances, you have to keep switch. That is your win con, that is what you're playing to. This trainer unfortunately played for switch advantage and conceded switch immediately. What that does is that allows me to put my Solgaleo in a favorable matchup, whereas otherwise if they just retain switch advantage, they could have just had this Solgaleo perpetually on a Landorus and a Dialga Origin perpetually on our Palkia Origin. Unfortunately now this trainer is just going to lose based off of alignment, but this is the alignment that they chose because of what they did. Palkia able to make that last second Aqua Tail, and with them being debuffed in their defense, that's a KO. Back in comes KB, and they reach for the top left. GG's. In the next match, it's going to be Palkia Origin leading into Rhyperior. not too terrible of a lead. Again, this is about as neutral as it gets in the Master League. They're going to safe switch immediately into Florges, and Florges is getting absolutely shut down by Solgaleo. Solgaleo in this matchup is able to go for 1 Psychic Fangs and fully farm down Florges. Here, I am going to opt to go for an Iron Head here, and I've learned that you could just Psychic Fangs farm down and take relative amounts of damage to what I'm going to take here, so I think I would prefer that play. But if you're late on the switch, you may as well go for the Iron Head play. Iron Head onto the Rhyperior, going to do a sizable amount, and they're going to bring in their Dragon Tail KB into our Palkia. I'm baiting. I'm clicking on my Aqua Tail button. It's still a blue button, but it's not the blue button that deserves that shield from our opponent. And we're going to be able to get another Aqua Tail here. This would do a nice amount of chip onto the KB as they do shield it up. I'm bringing in my Solgaleo here because I'm so comfortable with absorbing this energy with Solgaleo. And now bringing in TAPU LELE. And the opponent may have misheard me because I said TAPU LELE, but they reacted with top left. GG's. We are getting into the next game, and it is going to be Palkia Origin leading into Solgaleo. We are going to throw 1 Dragon Breath and switch into the TAPU LELE. A lot of them are on Iron Head and Outrage, so I'd much rather shield up that first move because that Iron Head would absolutely KO TAPU LELE. This Pokemon is not very bulky. They switch into their Palkia. I am so confused by this play. TAPU LELE does not need to shield this Aqua Tail to maintain switch advantage, and we go for the Astonish down. We're going to be able to make another Nature's Madness, and TAPU LELE has put in so much work into this opponent's team. Look at how low they are, basically exclusively from a TAPU LELE. Generally, Necrozma Dust main does run Iron Head and Outrage. That is like the new trending moveset. And we are going to fire off the Psychic Fangs onto the KB. KB is going to have to deal with massive Dragon Breath damage from the Palkia now that they're debuffed. They want no parts. GG's. We've made it to the final game of the video, and it's going to be Palkia Origin leading into K-White. K-White immediate safe switch into their TAPU LELE. I'm going to throw in Aqua Tail here on good timing, and then look to pivot out into my own TAPU LELE. Unfortunately, I am too late in doing that, as I am able to get that Astonish Sneak, which is pretty nice. But unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to Astonish down here. They're going to live on 1 HP, make a last second move. And here, I don't really want to go down a shield, so I'm not going to. I'm going to let my TAPU LELE go and just bring in my Palkia. Now they get to align their Necrozma Dust main onto our Palkia. Not my favorite situation, but we are just going to click on our Spatial Rend button, and it turns out that this is a CMP tie. They are going to fire off a move here, but I'm not going to respect it. I'm okay with them outraging and KOing my Palkia, but instead they go for an Iron Head, and my Palkia is well and alive. So I'm going to bring in my Solgaleo immediately, and now we are applying a massive amount of pressure onto the K-White. Throwing in Psychic Fangs here, unfortunately they do call the Psychic Fangs bait, but they are running dangerously low on HP, especially given the fact that they are now debuffed. Fire Spins are adding up. Throwing another Psychic Fangs here, and they are forced to shield this up, or they will get Fire Spun down. They are going to shield up, and now I'm shielding up their next move too, because of course the Fusion Flare would do a lot more damage than whatever move the Necrozma Dust main is going to be able to throw at me. I fire off a Psychic Fangs at this as well. I'm just peak degeneracy right now, going for the farm down. We're able to get the farm down, and now I'm throwing another Psychic Fangs. I am absolutely just griefing this trainer Solgaleo, putting in so much work. The opponent recognizes the game is over. GG's to this trainer. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot to me. And Focus Blast TAPU LELE was an absolute treat. If you guys want a fun moveset to run, I'd certainly recommend this. I landed it on somebody's best buddy, Kyurem White, and it did 99%, and I was so happy. I can't say the viability of the moveset. You can catch a couple people off guard. This is more for fun than a serious TAPU LELE moveset, as it is pretty expensive, and TAPU LELE is not the fastest pacing to Focus Blast, and it's also pretty glassy. So with all that being said, I would run Focus Blast erring on the side of caution. But with all that being said, I've been Shmeaty. I hope to see you all again next time. And have a good rest of your day. Bye.